Hey guys, and welcome back to my cooking channel. Today I've got a really great leftover recipe for you. But first, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, Katie Cooks Easy Recipes, if you enjoy cooking real great food. Okay guys, so as promised, we're going to cook a leftover recipe today. So this is my leftover lamb biryani recipe. It's so delicious. I'll probably start all my recipes saying that, but this is really great and a wonderful way to use up some leftover roast lamb. Okay, so we're going to go ahead with the ingredients. So we're going to go with about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 large onion sliced. These are my whole spices. So I've got some cumin seeds, some cinnamon or cassia bark and some salt. Then we've got some garlic and ginger puree, and then these are my ground spices. So I've got garam masala, turmeric, ground coriander and some mild chilli powder in there. Then we're going to need a couple of tablespoons of butter to really enrich this dish. We've got some fresh chopped tomatoes. There's about 3 salad tomatoes there, just roughly chopped. Then I've got some basmati rice that I've drained, rinsed and drained, made sure that so that all the rice doesn't stick together. And make some room on this tray for the lovely sultanas that I've got. They're optional, you can leave them out if you're not much into sweet with your savoury food, but I think they had a nice touch. And then I've got some coriander. Now I used the stalks, I put them in with the whole spices, and then I used the leaves for garnishing at the end, but you'll see me do that when I'm cooking. Of course, the star of the show, some leftover lamb. You're also going to need a splash of water and some lovely chicken or lamb stock. So these are all our ingredients. To be honest, if you can't be bothered with all the spices, you can just use a spice paste, but sometimes it's nice to cook from scratch. I have got a speedy recipe that uses a paste on my website, katiecooks.co.uk, if you prefer to check that one out. So if you want to check out my 1-pot Indian rice dish, that's on my website. But we're here, we're doing this recipe, my leftover lamb biryani recipe. Biryani style, use that term loosely, but it's so delicious. Here we go. So we've heated our oil on a medium heat in a pan. You will need a pan with a lid. If you haven't got one, use a sort of deep-ish frying pan, and very carefully you can use a little bit of oil to cover it up as like a makeshift lid. We've popped in our sliced onion. And the key to a really good base of a curry or an Indian dish is to get these onions sweated down and caramelised. Now, if I had all day, when I make a curry from scratch and I've got all day to play around with it, I'll try and just let them turn golden and caramelised for, I'll try and get them to keep going for about an hour. It's wonderful, it adds such a lovely base. We're cooking this a little bit more speedily, so I'm actually just going to sweat these down for around about 10 minutes. You can add a good pinch of salt in there. That will help to draw the moisture out of the onions and obviously start to caramelise them. You can keep these all moving around, try not to let them stick to the pan, otherwise you're going to get like a burnt, bitter taste, which is not what we're looking for. Yeah, so I'm going to sweat these down for 10 to 15 minutes. If you can do any longer, brilliant, you're on to a winner. Another plug for my website, if you want to know how to get some real flavour into your curry, check out my curry recipe on there. In fact, there's some cooking videos on YouTube too, which are really helpful to really get some flavour into your homemade curries. Right, so my onions have started to sweat down now, and I'm going to go in with my whole spices. So that was cinnamon, a cinnamon stick, but I didn't have a whole one, so I've just chucked in a little bit of cassia bark, which is even better. If you can get cassia bark instead of cinnamon stick, it's so much more powerful. It's the same thing, it just tends to be a lot more powerful in flavour. And then I've got some whole cumin seeds, and I put a few more in actually because I really love the taste of cumin, and obviously my onion was larger than I thought, so that's about a teaspoon and a half of cumin seeds. And also there was a little pinch more salt in there, and then we're just going to let that cook down, continue to sweat those onions down. All those whole spices are going to start flavouring the oil and the onions, and now we're really starting to get a base of a curry. Okay, so my onions are softened a little bit now. They're starting to take on a little bit of a golden colour. I'd like to take it further before I did this, but time's against us today. So now I'm going in with my garlic and ginger puree and my coriander stalks. Always use coriander stalks. They are so fragrant. They are like the leaves, but on steroids. They're so lovely and citrusy, and I know some people don't really like coriander, but I love it. I love the citrusness of it. I think it adds a real lovely flavour to the base of a curry. And I also put in a dash of water there. That will stop my garlic and ginger puree from sticking to the base. Burnt garlic is awful. Plus the water now will help these dried spices not to stick to the bottom of the pan. So we've got, again, just as a reminder, some turmeric, some ground coriander, a little bit of mild chilli powder. You can use hot if you want it a bit spicy. And also there's some garam masala in there. And again, the water that you add just before you put these in will stop the pan like instantly drying up and the spices burning and giving the dish like an acrid, bitter taste. But I'm just holding this up. Look at the colours. They are fantastic. And the smells are absolutely mouth-watering. If I could just spread this on toast, I'd be a happy girl. But we're not. We're doing a kind of biryani Indian rice dish type thing. So let's go. Next up, we're going to go in with our butter. Now, you may find this unnecessary and you don't have to add it in, but the butter will really, really enrich the dish and add a really luxury, velvety element to the rice dish. It's just fantastic, and I think necessary. And by necessary, I mean to take this kind of leftover, bung everything in one pot, nothing special dish, up an element, up a flavour profile, up to the next level, if you will. Right, so I've now gone in with my basmati rice that earlier on I soaked in water and then rinsed, and that will just help the rice grains not stick together and be clumpy and starchy. So that is quite a necessary step as well. And then we're going to give it all a stir so that the rice, a little bit like what you do with a risotto to begin with, make sure that the rice is well coated in all those lovely fragrant spices, butter. We just want to get that well incorporated. Then we're going to go in with our little fresh chopped tomatoes and sultanas if you're using them. Again, you don't have to if you're not keen on sweet in your savoury dishes, but I just think they had a really lovely little respite. And they complement the sweet lamb meat quite well as well. So put in your cooked lamb and then go in with your stock and then give everything a real good stir around so that everything's kind of dished out evenly. And now I'm going to show you how we're going to get this rice lovely, like the stock absorbed really nicely into this rice without it being too overcooked. So what you want to do is turn the pan up to high and let the stock come up to a boil. And then when the stock has basically reduced, so it's pretty much at the level of the uncooked rice there, you're going to then cover it up and turn the heat down to really low. So my induction hob goes up to 10. And I'm just going to put it on 1.5 to 2 and just let it sit there for 14 minutes. Use the rest of the time to get your garnishes ready, like me toasting these cashew nuts. Right, okay, so I've taken the lid off. This was about 14.5 minutes, if I'm being honest, because I got distracted. And you've got this perfectly cooked rice. You can see it's all individual, it's not all clumped together. We're going to give that a stir, fluff it up a little bit, get some of that steam out, because if we don't do that, if you don't get all the steam out, it'll make the rice wet and start to stick together as well. So I'm gonna fluff it up. I had a little taste, needed a nice pinch of salt, retasted it, and that's really lifted the dish. So just trust your instincts, have a taste. If you think it needs a pinch of salt, always remember you can add more, but you can't take away. So add it bit by bit, taste by taste, and then you've got this wonderful dish. And this is how I'm going to dish it up. To take this dish to the next level, even though it tastes delicious as it is, we're going to pop a couple of big spoonfuls onto a plate, and then we're going to dress it with some lovely fresh garnishes to really make it come alive. Now, traditionally, a biryani would be even drier than this. This is a little bit wetter, a little bit looser than a traditional biryani, but delicious nonetheless. We're going to add some chopped coriander leaves, some freshly chopped tomatoes that I've just cracked a bit of salt over, some toasted cashews, and some really naff shop bought samosas and bhajis, which actually taste a lot better than they look, that you'll see in a minute. So if you enjoyed this recipe and you enjoyed the cook along, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel so I can keep bringing you these great easy home cooked meals.